So me and my husband went to see A Beast Within this past weekend with Kit Harrington from Game of Thrones. They say it's like an indie film, but it's also a horror. And I feel like the trailer is very misleading. It built tension extremely in the trailer, but the movie was quite slow. And if you watch the trailer, you can tell from the trailer, you're like, oh, he's some sort of werewolf beast thing that he has to go off or hide from his family in order to do that, whatever. But from the trailer, I got some sort of supernatural element from the woods and things like that. Anyway, that is basically what the movie's about. There is no surprise. There is no twist. I kept waiting for it. I kept thinking, what is this building towards? And it never really built towards anything. Overall, I thought the cinematography was actually really great. There was a lot of shots that stood out to me. It felt like it was really good for the mood and the world of what they were creating, like the tone. The tone in the movie is much more like very, very slow build up, but it doesn't really build tension very well completely, to be honest, in my opinion. And so visually, if you want to go see it for some sort of visual element, that's probably good. I'm going to get more into spoilers of the film. So stop right now if you don't want to hear spoilers. He also is an abusive father, like verbally and I think physically. So I couldn't really tell if they were trying to do this comparison to like him being a monster in real life and then that manifestation as a werewolf. If they were, it did not work. For me, part of it was like, I think him being a werewolf was enough. I think they could have just picked a lane, in that respect. Or there was just like so many times when they were around him, I wasn't sure, like, am I supposed to be afraid of him? Okay, now I'm not supposed to be afraid of him. And I honestly don't know if it was Kit Harington's performance or just the way he was directed. I think that's it as far as like, but yeah, as far as like, just for more spoilers, it just kept showing him go off during the full moon, becoming this thing. And then it built up to, they just did that multiple times. And the girl was like scared of it and like observing it. The whole movie is told through the perspective of this little girl, his daughter, which I actually thought was really, really great, that aspect of it. But then all it does is build to this thing where he escapes from the chain that they lock him up in when he has his transformation, and he goes back to the farm and kills the grandpa and tries to kill the mom, but then the little girl kills him. They had this like voiceover of him saying, you must do anything to protect her. It's like, protect the family from you. And yeah, it was just like, okay. And then they alluded at the very end, like that she was maybe a werewolf and going to become a werewolf or had that in her blood. And I just feel like it could have been done so much more effectively, of maybe like showing from the get-go this very strange relationship from her father. Maybe she's estranged from him. She doesn't want to be like him. She's resisting it. Literally, it could have just not been a secret from the beginning. Like she could have just known this and hated him for it from the beginning, versus her like kind of knowing and then like kind of finding out and it like not really being that big of a deal. And anyway, and then like it could have been this really cool self-fulfilling prophecy of like, I'm resisting my father and I hate who he is, and now who I am is part of the horror of who he is, part of the very thing that I hate about him. That could have been really interesting, but they didn't do it. And I could feel in the entire theater, everybody was bored. Everybody was like, like, what are we doing? Everyone kept getting up to pee. I got up to pee, and I peed like right before I left. It's like, I just think you can just kind of feel that sometimes in like the reaction of an audience. I thought the grandfather was a really great actor. I thought the little girl was an extraordinary actress. There were so many moments, she had this like asthma thing and she didn't have a ton of lines. There were so many wonderful moments where I was just present to an experience she was having. And I had all of these thoughts about what could be going on with her internally. And I felt like the way that she was just being it and letting us in on that world, which was really, really vulnerable. But yeah, pretty lame. Not that great. But if you're if you're a cinematographer, you'll probably like it. If you want to watch it just from that girl's perspective, I think because I was so bored, I started looking at it specifically through very specific lenses that I could see something good, like the acting and the cinematography and things like that.